And now it's 38 people's favorite podcast, The Customer's Always an Asshole. Reading your customer horror stories, here are your wine-drinking buddies, Michelle and Melissa.
And now for part 2 of Airport's Alcohol, Ambien Assholes. Enjoy! So, on Reddit, Bat Mally. I actually read this on a ton of other articles that people would like reference Reddit. Mm-hmm. It's from 3 years ago, but he says, or they say, probably my favorite story is about a gentleman who went into the lab to relieve himself. As he flushed and opened the gooseneck valve on the tank, the plane hit a pocket of dead air and dropped like 15 feet vertically. Everything in the tank proceeded upward at the speed of gravity. He was covered. They had to hose him off on the tarmac upon arrival.
What?
Yeah. Oh, why I find poop so funny. But that sucks. And now that guy's probably dead from... You have died from dysentery. Rest in peace.
My God.
I know. I didn't even know that's possible. Like, that is some shitty ass timing.
Pun intended.
Pun intended. Okay, so their username is 907-586-2159.
Okay.
I think we should call it
8675309.
That's right. Jenny, don't lose that number. They say, I was on a flight with only 4 people other than the crew, so I pulled out a deck of cards and invited the flight attendants to join in a hand of poker, which turned into Go Fish. I don't know why that is important, but they started to tell me stories. One flight attendant said a guy tried to lick her every time she reached across to hand food or drink to the guy at the window seat. What? Another one said a guy stripped down to his boxers because the seat felt bad on his pants, quote unquote. Not quite sure what that's all about. And there was another flight attendant said a woman tried to give a guy a hand job without his permission.
What?
Without his permission. Probably coming back from Vegas.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, this is another one that I that I read on quite a few other articles referenced this username Little Mermarks 3 years ago. I'm not a flight attendant, but my mom is. She has a load of crazy stories over plus years on the job, but there's one in particular that has always haunted me. It was a transatlantic flight, and halfway through the flight, near the back of the plane, the overhead bin started raining maggots on a passenger in one row, just pouring through. One of the other flight attendants on the plane investigated and discovered that a passenger had flown in from Africa and was traveling to the U.S. via Europe, had a whole dead fish filled with maggots wrapped inside a newspaper. Apparently, it's considered a delicacy in some parts of the world. Why is that okay to bring on the plane?
What part of the world is that a delicacy?
They wound up leaving the closed suitcase in one of the bathrooms and locked the door until everybody disembarked after landing. Some people are afraid of crashing. Not me. I'm afraid of maggot rain. Oh, that gives me the heebie-jeebies. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why wouldn't you have it in like an ice chest or something? That's disgusting.
Disgusting.
Why? Just don't bring it at all.
Exactly. You can't get fish and maggots anywhere else. Come on. Where was he flying? He was flying to the United States. You can find fish and maggots anywhere in the U.S.
Right?
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit the podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast, woohoo, with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. So this Reddit user, Zadaratsky, 3 years ago. I was a flight attendant for American Airlines and flew the all-nighter from New York City to San Juan for a year on 747s. On a couple of occasions, hookers would saunter around the plane, hitting on guys who looked as if they were traveling alone. I'd see them occasionally sneaking into the lab with a John. That's like a Matrix shit. Some of them did enough business to pay their fare. The all-nighters were a perfect place to pull this off because after meal service, we'd dim the lights and most people would be asleep for a couple of hours. So, hey, you want to go to San Juan? You get sucky, sucky.
Sucky, sucky, happy ending. So were they like using the flight as their breeding, like their grounds for work?
I guess so. That is their office.
Interesting.
I wonder if there was a pimp on there. Okay, this Reddit one is DC Mook. I'm not a flight attendant, but I was flying a red eye, first class, from Dubai to New York. Ooh, fancy, fancy. Bragger. Mm-hmm. I'm sitting there on my phone and I hear some guy say, "Excuse me, could you ask the pilot to turn off the left engine so my son can get some sleep?"
What the? Are you fucking kidding me?
No.
Does he not know how it works? Does he not know that the engine needs to be running?
We need to keep that on.
I would have smacked him in the face.
Yeah, Nick said people check their brains at the curb.
Apparently, they put them in the overhead bins.
And then they leak out with maggots.
Oh my God. Okay.
So I read this one a couple of times on different articles, but it says that the name's deleted. So sorry, can't give anybody credit.
Okay.
An elderly man, on a flight from Angola to South Africa, an elderly man seated in front of me suddenly got up, put on his jacket, pulled his carry-on from the overhead, and proceeded to try to open the door to get off. When he was told to leave the door alone, he lost it and had to be overpowered. That wasn't very hard. He was a frail old man, but nobody could convince him that it's a really bad idea to open the door when you're at cruising altitude. Just so you know, somebody replied to this and said, "The door won't open. The air pressure differential doesn't allow it to open."
Really?
Yes. Because I was a little like, oh my God, what if somebody freaks out on a plane that I'm on and does that? And then I'm going to totally guess that this person is an aeronautical engineer and knows. Nick confirmed me. You cannot open it. Okay. There's another one with clipping toenails and putting his feet up on the seat.
Disgusting.
Oh, he also left a nice pile of his hacked off heel skin on the seat for someone else to deal with.
Ew, that's awful. Come on.
That was from Tab Chica. Oh, so that's all my stories.
Disgusting.
Yes.
Entertaining, but disgusting, and people are assholes.
I know. I'm so sorry. Actually, I found some very interesting things researching this. There is secrets flight attendants won't tell you. This is from menshealth.com a few years ago. Your coffee is probably decaf because nobody's going to deal with the caffeine and the non-caffeinated. Also, they don't want a flight full of fidgety passengers. We want you to sleep, they say. Also, the coffee is pretty gross. The water is pumped from a big tank, which I don't imagine, this guy says, I don't imagine gets cleaned very often, if at all. The other flight attendant says, we call it the galley springs because it's basically the same water in the plane's holding tanks that they use for the toilets.
Arf.
Not that it's toilet water, but this other flight attendant says, don't even ask for water. It's I used to fill the water bottles with Galley Springs and serve it to customers. Unless you're in first class, nobody's getting real bottled water. This is 2015, so I don't know if it's still, but so go to Starbucks, buy that water. buy that $10 bottle of water.
Mm-hmm.
This one says tipping will get you extra. Nobody ever thinks to tip a flight attendant. We can make your flight experience so much better if we want to. Free booze, hot cookies. That's not just for first class passengers. One story I read said that somebody brought them Thin Mints and they were like showering with gifts the whole time that they could on the flight. They said they'll mess with your food if you're an asshole. Never eat the dinner rolls. Never, ever, ever eat the dinner rolls.
I wonder why.
I don't know.
What's in it?
They can unlock the bathrooms from the outside. It's mostly a safety issue in case somebody dies or gets hurt in there, and people are stupid. One time, an old lady couldn't figure out how to unlock it and started freaking out in there. So that's why they can. I didn't know it makes sense, but I didn't realize that they could.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. They
could open it. So don't arrive late on purpose, because I've seen this when I'm standing in TSA. Mm-hmm. Well, not anymore because I paid for that damn flyby or whatever they call it. But those people that are like, excuse me, I'm going to be late for my flight, and totally inconsiderate because they don't want to wait in line. So people arrive late on purpose and have the balls to do that.
Oh, I see. Okay.
People standing on moving sidewalks, don't do that. Putting your stuff on seats in the waiting area. So when you're sitting on the chairs and you're putting more shit on each of the... I don't do that unless it's super empty, because I don't like to put my stuff on the floor.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Listening to videos without headphones, or like talking on your phone without headphones. That is everywhere. That is one of my major pet peeves right now.
I cannot stand that. People who talk on speakerphone, and it's like, I don't need to hear your conversation.
No, I don't care.
Yeah.
Letting kids run wild. Please don't do that anywhere. Not just ignoring which boarding group you're in. Or gate rushers. So like they, are there when they're boarding group C and they're just starting to call A. I like on passenger shaming, they call them gate lice. Like they're just hovering around there, blocking everybody's way. I fucking hate that. Mm-hmm. Crowding the baggage carousel. That's another thing. I hate when people do that. Yeah. It's not going to make your bags come out any faster.
Nope.
Traveling sick, cover your shit. And I think that is about it. But check out passenger shaming with the people lying on the plane floor, working out on the plane, throwing shit all over the floor that the poor people have to clean up, the flight attendants. One of the recent pictures I saw, somebody was scrolling through the movies with their toe. Like they didn't want to lean over and use their fingers, so they were scrolling with their toe. So
that's disgusting.
So
thanks for these stories.
Thank you for listening.
Basically, take away is that people are assholes. They have no fucking common sense, no courtesy.
Is a catalyst.
Apparently, alcohol and Ambien.
And Ambien is catalyst, and alcohol and Ambien together is a very bad idea.
It does not go well for anybody.
I know we've talked about this before, but remember when travel was like romanticized, and you get dressed up, you're going to go somewhere, it's all exciting. Mm-hmm. I felt like everybody used to be on their best behavior. Yeah. Like you're being confined to this flying bus in the air.
Yeah.
You can't keep it together for a few hours.
Right?
Now everybody's just hot messes.
You can't just be a decent human being, period.
Ugh.
People suck.
Every day. Yeah. People are fucking assholes. Public shaming is usually how we change the world, right?
Yep.
I think that's it.
Well, thanks for the stories. I did enjoy them.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks for being my sounding board. Thank you for being a friend.
Bow, bow, bow.
And for those listening, I'm Michelle.
Again. And I'm Melissa.
Or Missy. Or Miss.
Missy. Or Miss.
Or hey, you.
I've been called
You
worse.
over there? Yeah, me too. Okay.
Check you later.
Check you later. Check you later.
This is Melissa.
And this is Michelle. Thanks for listening.
Send your asshole stories to
AholeStories@gmail.com.
Text or leave a message at
702-551-2011. Standard rate supply. And don't forget,
don't be an asshole. Bye.